This week on my Restaurants podcast, which you can check out on our YouTube page, KYCA Digital, I talked about the controversy, more like manufactured controversy, over Angel Reese's actions toward Caitlin Clark at the NCAA Women's National Basketball Championship game. As Reese and LSU were pulling away from Clark in Iowa, Reese was doing some taunting of Clark. She walked past her and did the whole John Cena, "you can't see me" gesture, which Caitlin Clark has also done herself throughout her career. Then, as the game was nearly over, Angel Reese walks past Caitlin Clark, points to her finger like this, going, yeah, baby, we're getting the national championship ring. Yeah, well, a lot of people in the mainstream sports media lost their ever-loving minds over this, about how it was uncalled for and it was inappropriate. Now, some people have said the criticism of Reese's behavior was done out of racism. I don't buy that. I think she was criticized by the mainstream sports media because they all have telephone poles shoved up there, wheres. Basically, I feel they're the kind of people who don't want athletes behaving like human beings, showing off their individuality. Now, I know there are going to be people out there who say, well, sports is about team, not about individuality. Well, a team is made up of individuals, each one of them unique, each one with different personalities. So you can have a team where some players are more reserved, some of them are more expressive, some are more serious, some are jokesters, and they can show off those different personality traits while at the same time coming together to achieve a common goal. The other part of the equation is, when you get down to it, sports is entertainment. I go to a game, I watch a game, I want to be entertained. And that's more than just seeing a home run or a big strikeout or a touchdown or a goal. It's about the game within the game, as they say. And that includes the trash talking and the celebrating. In fact, Caitlin Clark was asked about Angel Reese's taunts toward her during the championship game, and Clark said she had no problem with it because she does that herself to other players. And she also said fans should be able to see that passion out there on the court because it elevates the enjoyment of the game. And folks, my hat is off to Caitlin Clark because she gets it. She knows that sports is entertainment. The trash talking, the taunting, the swagger, just all part of the game. And also stuff that could generate more interest in the game, whatever that game is. And in fact, there's been a lot of stuff I've heard on some of the YouTube sports commentary channels where they say more people are talking about the NCAA Women's National Championship basketball game than they are the men's. And it goes back to the exchanges between Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. So it's like, well, guess what? Those two ladies have put a lot more attention on the women's game. So good for them. And also, like I said, I have no problem with any of the stuff Angel Reese did. The "you can't see me," the pointing to the finger. Basically, when I watched that, I laughed my butt off over it. And now, if I were an Iowa fan, I would probably feel different, but that's just fan bias. Because if I were an Iowa fan and saw Caitlin Clark doing the same thing, doing the whole "you can't see me," I'd be cheering her on and think that was the coolest thing ever. Well, I still think that's a pretty cool thing to do, even though I'm not a fan of Iowa. Just like I would support Reese and her trash talking, even though I'm not a fan of LSU. But I bring this up because we've had some issues with players and teams right here in the Tri-City area celebrating and doing stuff to make the game more fun. Not that I have any issues with that, but others do. And I think it's time for them to take a deep breath and just be cool about it. Now, going back to last year, we were up at Flagstaff doing a basketball game for Prescott, and right as the first half ended, I believe it was Logan Jex. He nailed a three-pointer, which, if I remember right, I think that gave Prescott the lead over Flagstaff. And the Prescott bench got nailed with a technical foul for excessive celebration because apparently some of the players, when they were celebrating, they stepped foot on the court. Now, even though the half was over and there was nothing they could do to interfere with any of the play, they still got called for that technical. I think that was just ridiculous. We also had another incident last year at a Yavapai College softball game where they were playing Eastern Arizona, and every time someone hit a home run, the players would gather at home plate to celebrate. But one of the umpires kept going up to them and waving them to get back in the dugout, including there was this one point in the game. There was a home run. Yavapai came out to celebrate. Dude ran all the way from first base to home, waving his arms frantically, telling them to get back in the dugout. I mean, it looked like he was trying to get them away from a bomb that was about to explode. That's how ridiculous he looked. Now, every other Yavapai softball game I've been to, no other umpires had a problem with home run celebrations, except this guy who seemed to want to be the center of attention. Then there was football this past season where a few times Prescott got hit with excessive celebration calls after touchdowns. And I actually got dinged by one game official because I criticized the rule and said it was ridiculous. Well, the rule is ridiculous, I feel. And you know, here's the thing. Does a touchdown celebration have any kind of impact on the play on the field? No, it doesn't, because the play is done. So it will not affect the course of the game like, say, a holding call or a pass interference would. This is just a rule for not letting players have fun. It's like, well, they're human beings, not robots. Let them celebrate. Let them have fun. As Caitlin Clark said, let them show passion. Sports is about entertainment, and when someone screams from the field, "Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?" I want to shout back, yes, I am entertained. All right, folks. 928-541-1016, number to call here on the Tri-City Sports Roundup. And hey, well, you're going to see we've got a crowded studio here today for our show. Joining me in the studio, we have members of the Bradshaw Mountain baseball team. I have Coach Brian Bundrick with me. He brought 3 of his players with him. We've got Dalton Irwin, Josh Kazal, and Nate Ramirez. So we're going to be talking about Bradshaw's tremendous season as they get ready for the stretch run. And boy, oh boy, they've got a couple of really huge games coming up, along with the 2 big rivalry games with Prescott coming up at the end of the regular season. They've also got a couple games coming up against Flagstaff, the number 4 ranked team in power points in the state. Also, they were going up against Estrella Foothills yesterday, ranked number 5 in the state. Bradshaw got the win over them. We'll be talking about that. We'll be talking about plenty of other things involving Bradshaw Mountain baseball when we come back from break, and we'll be back right after this. Welcome back to the Tri-City Sports Roundup, everybody. John Russ with you here, and man, oh man, what a season it has been for Bradshaw Mountain Baseball. In fact, they are in the middle of a 10-game winning streak, getting their 10th win yesterday in a great 9-2 victory over Estrella Foothills, the number 5 ranked team in the state. And we're going to be talking about Bradshaw's great success here in 2023. With me in the studio, I have their head coach, Brian Bundrick. I've also got 3 players with me. I got Dalton Irwin, I got Josh Kazal, and I got Nate Ramirez. Guys, good morning, and thanks for joining us here.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
So, Coach, let me start with you. Looking at Max Preps, your record right now stands at 17-3. Again, you're coming off a great win over Estrella Foothills yesterday. So, basically, in a nutshell, what is going on with Bradshaw Mountain where you guys are just having an absolutely tremendous season so far?
To be honest, it's a lot of things, but the number one thing we got going on right now is our kids are completely focused on doing their what we got to work on every day, and we have a plan, and they every day they succeed at that plan, and they work at it to be perfect. So that's what we got going on right now.
So, Dalton, like I said yesterday, you go up against Estrella Foothills. You knew you were going to be in for a pretty big challenge there, ranked number 5 in the state. But again, took them out 9-2. So what was kind of the game plan going in there against Estrella Foothills to come away with that great win?
Just go in there and play like we always do. We work hard all season and just be ourselves and do what we know and play how we play.
And Josh, I believe you and Nate kind of like, you basically shared pitching duties yesterday. And according to Coach, you guys combined for 14 strikeouts yesterday against Estrella Foothills. So talk about your approach at the mound and what you were doing to really keep that Estrella Foothills offense down.
Yeah, big thing for our pitching staff and with our coaches, we just come out there pounding the zone, throwing a lot of strikes, first pitch strikes. It's really important for us. So when we just pound the zone and I have a great defense behind me, so I know that if I throw strikes and they hit it or I strike them out, that great things will happen. So that's how a great game starts.
And Nate, I imagine you're going to give me the same answer too of what you were doing yesterday against Estrella Foothills, huh?
Yeah, as he was saying, I just know when I'm on the mound, I have the best guys behind me, and I just know that they'll make the plays behind me and do whatever it takes to get outs.
Well, speaking of defense, Coach, I was over at your game on Thursday when you guys took on Agua Fria, and I think that was probably one of the things that really impressed me about watching Bradshaw play. I mean, you guys did a good job at the plate. Shane Levacy, I mean, boy, I feel like that guy had some place to go because he got a lot of first pitch outs there, but just the defense behind them. I mean, you weren't like looking at, say, like, web gem highlight reels. It was just a lot of guys who just really knew the fundamentals of defense and executed them perfectly to back up their pitcher.
Yeah, I mean, it's very comfortable for a pitcher to climb up on the bump and know that you have 8 guys or 7 guys behind you at least and one in front of you that's going to do a great job. And these kids, they work very hard, and I'll be honest with you, our practices are pretty much flawless. When we don't have to say anything about go routes on the outfielders. We don't have to tell them to go get around the baseball. We don't have to tell our guys to get down in front of balls. We do play on turf, so we're lucky to have some some better hops in most fields. But the bottom line is these kids, they want to do good. They want to make sure their pitcher knows that they're there for them, and and it's like I say all the time, this team is extremely selfless, and they want to go out there and they want to win.
Mm-hmm. So, Dalton, obviously one of the big things that you guys had to overcome this year really wasn't any of your opponents. Well, maybe you could call it the opponent, but an opponent you have no control over, and that, of course, is the weather. So, I mean, what was it like for you guys going through March with, just rain, snow, all kinds of misery, and just trying to get practice time in and trying to keep your skills sharp?
Yeah, I mean, the weather definitely affects practice, but, we'd go in the gym, we'd run a lot, lift a lot, and then we'd come PDB and just do what we can, get better any way that we can.
All right. So, Josh, now you're the newbie here in Prescott Valley. Dalton and Nate, they both grew up here, but you actually came from one of the coolest town names ever in the United States. You're a native of Rancho Cucamonga, California. So what brought you and your family here to Prescott Valley?
Just looking for a place to move, get out some California and some land. Just really peaceful city, town, and we just fell in love with it when we visited. So it's been a great experience so far.
Yeah. And, of course, for yourself, I mean, kind of the new kid on the block. You're coming to a team where a lot of the players know each other, are familiar with each other. They've probably played with one another since, like, Little League. So what was it like for you just kind of being thrown into this new situation with a whole bunch of new guys who at first you really knew nothing about?
Yeah, it's actually been an incredible experience so far. I mean, from the day I moved here, these guys came and helped me move in. So I've never been welcomed to a team like this before, and I know these guys have been brothers for so long. So being able for them to welcome me in like this and knowing how close they are just to like include me in everything and be part of this team has just been such an amazing experience for me, and I'm just so thankful for them.
Great. Well, speaking of amazing experiences, Nate, you had a pretty amazing experience yourself. In fact, it got you named to our Tri-City Sports Roundup 3 Stars of the Week segment last week as you threw a no-hitter against Coconino. So just take us back to that game and what you had going on to accomplish that incredible feat.
Like I said earlier, it was all about the defense. I had my center fielder, Shane Leafsay. He ran deep to a ball to save me from giving up a big hit. I had a bunch of other little ground balls that, Dalton makes plays on. I didn't strike out many guys, so it was relied heavily on my defense. And, I just put it in the zone, let them hit it, get themselves out.
Okay, so I got to ask this. As you were going through the game, were you aware that you had a no-hitter going on, or were you just so focused on everything? It's like, I just got to go out there and just got to throw pitches?
I was not aware. I was honestly wondering why everybody was running out to the field congratulating me.
So the good thing was no one on the bench, said, "Hey, Nate, you got a no-hitter going," and jinx you, huh?
Yeah, very thankful for that.
Good, because actually there was last year I was doing an Embry-Riddle game, and their guy Mitchell Musler had a no-hitter going into the 7th inning, and what happened? One of his teammates on the bench said, "Hey, Mitchell has a no-hitter going," and wouldn't you know it, he gave up a hit right after that.
Wow.
So, here's what I credit the guy with. He didn't sell out the teammate who said that.
Mm-hmm.
I even asked him, like, who said that? Mitchell's like, I can't sell out my guy. But, well, speaking of no-hitters, Coach, it wasn't just Nate who threw a no-hitter for you. I think, a game or two after he no-hit Coconino, Vinny Magdalena came out, and he chucked a no-hitter against, I believe it was Mojave.
Yeah, it was actually the very next game. It was like 2 days later. You know what? I'll be honest with you. When Nate did it, it was obviously there's a little bit of difference in talent, and no offense to Mojave, but they know they're a little bit down, and Coconino's definitely a tougher team, not to mention the rivalry. And we attacked them, and they knew it, and Nate just threw very well, and then you back that up with Vinny. When Vinny came out, it was funny because he's a very talented pitcher, but he's such a good second baseman that we don't use him as much as we probably should because our defense, like we talk about, these guys will tell you all day long, their defense is so good. We try not to move guys too much, but I wanted him to take the rock, and he did. He got up on the bump, and he was lights out. The astonishing thing about it was the fact that when it came down to it, we had to make some good plays there, and not too many guys. 'Cause I think he struck out like 13 out of the 15 outs. It was impressive that way. But there was one of the outs was a foul ball in foul territory that I believe was Elias made a great play on, and then the last out of the game, you can ask Dalton. He was nervous as it can be because the guy hit the ball really hard up the middle, and Dalton made a fantastic play. And it was funny because we were laughing because as soon as we knew he got the ball, we said, well, at this point in time, at least it'll be an error, not a hit. And then he finally he made a great play and got him out, and it was over. But it was once again, it was about the team. I don't have to say anything. I don't have to remind the guys that, in fact, if anything, I tell them to go home. Quit. We're okay. Go home. Like they want to be in. They want to take more ground balls. They want to hit more fly balls. They want to take more hacks. And that's a special thing. In these kids, they have each other's backs. And as coaches, we just remind them that they're humans. We remind them that, hey, it's okay to make an error. But other than that, they want to be perfect, and that's a good thing.
Yeah. Getting back to pitching, because obviously at the high school level, I mean, pitching is always a commodity. And again, we got two really good pitchers sitting across from me, and Josh and Nate. Vinny threw a really good game. Then you got Shane Levacy, and like I said, I was really impressed with that guy and his performance Thursday against Agua Fria. I mean, just getting a lot of first pitch outs, just going up there and just working quickly. I mean, as a coach, as a coaching staff, what does that do for you guys to know that you've got at least 4 quality guys, at least that I know of. You probably have a couple more, but you have this many quality guys who can go out there and they can give you some effective starts or effective relief appearances.
Yeah, well, obviously, and to be honest, Dalton's no slouch either. He throws pretty well for us too. To be honest, when it comes down to pitching, it is a little bit difficult. We try and stick with our horses. We got 2 of them here, and I'll be honest. We talk about all the time. The number one is whoever it is that day. They're both very competitive. Our defense feels the same way that we can win with both of them. And then we got, Thomas McLaughlin is a great pitcher too. He's coming off an injury, so we're limited on his thing. But I will tell you that he was definitely one of our powerhouses last year, and I suspect that we'll be using him more and more as we go. But we got guys on the bench. I mean, we've just never had a team like this. They're selfless, like I say, and if it's their turn, it's their turn, and if it's not, it's not. They're cheering. They're not on the bench pouting. They understand that, hey, we have players. Everyone on our team can play. And we got Caden Randall's a sophomore. That kid's double tough, and you can put him on the bump, and you're going to get quality innings out of him too. So it's a great feeling as a coach. Trust me. And the bullpens are like the games, and there's pure focus, and they're trying to get better. It's not to go, hey, throw my 30, 40 pitches and get through it. No, they're trying to get better, and then, this is what you want as a coach.
All right. Well, folks, joining us on Tri-City Sports Roundup today, I have Coach Brian Bundrick and three of his players from the Bradshaw Mountain Baseball team. I've got Dalton Irwin, Josh Cazal, and Nate Ramirez. So we'll be talking more to them about the tremendous season that Bradshaw Mountain is having. In fact, they're on a 10-game winning streak right now, defeated the number 5 ranked team in the state in Estrella Foothills yesterday. And they've got some pretty big games coming up. In fact, on April 14th and April 17th, they're going to be taking on Flagstaff, and they are ranked number 4 in the state. They will be at Flag on the 14th and also at home on the 17th. And boy, hopefully by April 14th, all the snow they've had up in Flagstaff will have melted by now. At least around like the downtown proper area, up on the peaks and everything. That snow's probably going to stay there until August from the way it looks. All right, folks. Well, it's time for a break here on the Roundup. But before we go to break, as always, it's time to see who shined over the past 7 days as we present the Tri-City Sports Roundup 3 Stars of the Week. Starting with the ladies, our number 3 star is Autumn Salusi of the Embry-Riddle softball team. She drove in 13 runs in the Lady Eagles' 6-game weekend homestand last weekend. The number 2 star is Claire Streeter of the Embry-Riddle softball team. She threw back-to-back one-hitters versus Benedictine Mesa last Friday and Saturday. And our number 1 star of the week is Brianne Petty of the Chino Valley softball team. She threw a no-hitter with 7 strikeouts in the Lady Cougars' 20-0 triumph over Blue Ridge last Friday. Now for the guys, our number 3 star is Brody King of the Chino Valley baseball team. He had 4 RBIs in the Cougars' 23-2 hammering of Page on Tuesday. Then on Thursday, King homered and drove in 4 runs in Chino's 9-8 triumph over Odyssey Institute. The number 2 star is Rome Bassett of the Prescott volleyball team. He posted 34 assists and 18 digs in the Badgers' 3-1 win over Dysart Thursday. And our number 1 star of the week, we were just talking about him. It's Vinny Magdaleno of the Bradshaw Mountain baseball team. He threw a no-hitter in the Bears' 13-0 win over Mojave last Saturday. Man, a lot of no-hitters and one-hitters going on, the last couple weeks. We must have a lot of really good pitchers in the Tri-City area this year, I got to tell you. All right, folks, we're going to have more with Bradshaw Mountain Baseball. We come back from break. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back to the Tri-City Sports Roundup here on this Saturday morning. John Rust with you as things are finally starting to warm up here in the Prescott area after the endless winter we've had. And, of course, taking advantage of the warm-up, we have the Bradshaw Mountain baseball team. They have been just kicking you-know-what and taking names here on a 10-game winning streak. And in the studio with me, I have their head coach, Brian Bundrick. I also have 3 of their players. I have Dalton Irwin, Josh Cazal, and Nate Ramirez. And well, actually, I didn't get a chance to tell them about this before we went on the air, so I'm going to spring this on them as a surprise. But, folks, I think regular listeners know where I'm going with this because when we come back from our second break, we got to go do lightning round and find out some more about these guys' teammates. So, Dalton, I'm going to start with you, put you on the spot here. Who on Bradshaw Mountain Baseball would you say is the best-dressed player? Who is the sharp-dressed man of the Bears?
I gotta say Shane Leafson. I mean, he comes to school with his Letterman on, his pink hat, and he got the tight pants on. He looks good.
Styling and profiling. All right, Josh, who would you say is the most talkative guy on Bradshaw Mountain?
Talkative, I'd have to say Garrison Jones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Likes a good chat always. He's a character. He's a fun guy.
All right. Now, Nate, on the opposite side, who would you say is probably the quietest player on Bradshaw? The kind of guy who might give me like a 4-word answer if I interviewed him.
Probably the quietest guy you'll ever meet is Elias Avila. That guy,
Absolutely perfect.
Everything that comes out of him is a whisper and very, very low.
So basically, like, Elias, what do you think of the game? It was good.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
Okay, so Dalton, who would you say is the funniest guy on Bradshaw Mountain? The guy that just keeps you all rolling and laughing?
It's got to be Vinny Magdaleno. I mean, just during practice, if someone messes up, I mean, he's joking around, always having everybody laugh, keeps us in a good mood.
All right, so Josh, opposite end, who's probably the most serious guy on Bradshaw?
Ooh, that's a tough question because we do got a team of a lot of jokesters, but
boy, I'm really putting
I
you on
don't
the
know.
spot,
Yeah,
huh?
this is a really tough one.
It is.
Dang.
Could I phone a friend who'd think they know?
This ain't the weakest link,
I know.
man.
Who do you think it is?
Honestly, it's probably me. It's probably me.
All right, so nominate yourself. I'll allow it. What the heck? Okay, now, Nate, final one. Who on Bradshaw Mountain can eat the most in one sitting?
Oh boy, it depends on the day because I know I could definitely eat a lot of food if I wanted to. But I also know my man Anthony Morales.
I think Anthony might have won that.
Yeah.
Given
He tears
Dalton's
it up.
size.
Yeah.
Basically, he's going to put Golden Corral out of business.
Oh, that's his favorite place. That's his favorite place.
Oh, man. Well, now, going to go back to Dalton because, folks, if you're not aware of this, Dalton has, I guess, kind of a unique role on Bradshaw Mountain. When you see him come to the plate, don't expect him to hit the ball a lot. In fact, he could earn the nickname Hitman because, well, he gets hit a lot. In fact, Dalton, you've been hit a grand total of 14 times this season. What have you done to make all the other pitchers in Arizona hate you so much?
I don't know, man. I mean, they don't want to throw to our guy hitting 300, but they want to throw to our guy hitting 580 with 2 bombs. But, I mean, I'll take it, whatever I can do for the team, right?
Yeah.
So.
Not only that, but along with the 14 hit by pitch, I think you've got you're already double digits in walks.
Yeah.
But again, I think it just goes back to that small ball philosophy of do whatever you can to get on base, and it looks like you're fine with that.
Yeah, just don't swing at balls, man. Just take what it gives to you. Yeah,
So how much ice do you go through at the end of an average game after getting hit so much like
buckets of ice.
Man, well, Coach, getting back to you, I think we talked a little bit about small ball, and that was the one thing I saw at Thursday's game with Agua Fria. I mean, yeah, you had a couple guys, hit it out of the park. Kishan Patel, did a big knock there, but also, like I said, you got Dalton getting on base, you got other guys getting on base, moving around runners. Baseball the way it was meant to be before the analytics Poindexters got hold of it and, just said in Major League Baseball, well, swing as hard as you can and you either hit a home run or strike out, whatever. But just talk about that philosophy you have of really kind of emphasizing that small ball and just getting guys on base and just making things happen that way.
Well, the truth is this. We all know that you're not going to stay red hot. I mean, if you ask Dalton how he was hitting as a whole, he would probably say he's down. I would agree with him. He's not hitting probably as well as he could. However, when you look at his on-base percentage, I think it's ridiculous. It's so high, it almost looks fake. And you talk about getting hit, and that takes a lot of pride. And you gotta be willing, because your brain's telling you, your heart's telling you to get out of the way. And then your lower unit's telling you to stay there, if you know what I mean. And your coach is telling you, hey, you got to do this for your teammates. And then, your teammates pick you up. And, and it's one of those things. But as far as preparation and executing, we work on it daily. And I always tell the kids, the issue, all 3 of these guys are going to go play college baseball. And I tell them all the time, listen, I'm hard on you because next level is twice as hard, 3 times, 5 times harder. And the fact of the matter is, the high school kids, including myself when I played way back when, is that you tend to work one way and then you kind of let that go out the door when you go to play. Well, we're constantly reminding them, hey, let's practice one way and let's play that exact same way. And what these kids have done so well is that they are, like I use the word selfless, and I don't use it in a ridiculous way, I use it in an honest way, is that they understand that my job is to drive the ball until I get 2 strikes, and then it's, hey, let's get jammed or hit or whatever, and let's figure out how to get on base or move the runners. And we have done that exceptionally well lately. One of the biggest compliments we had from the coach yesterday from Estrella Foothills, which is a dang good team, is the fact that he said it was every inning you guys put runs on the board except for one, and it wasn't double after double or walk after walk, because they were very competitive on the mound. It was a bunt here, it was a sacrifice fly here, it was a ground ball right side here, and that's the stuff that it takes to win games, and that's exactly what we're doing. And these kids wholeheartedly buy into it daily, and we just work on that.
And you mentioned about them going off and playing college ball, and I've had this conversation with other coaches, and a lot of times when it comes to college, it's not a matter of they don't have the talent to succeed at the next level. They do. It's just a lot of times I think it's more a mental thing to succeed at the next level than it is a talent thing, because I always say, like, when you go to college, it's like when you were in high school, you used to being like the number one, number two guy on your team, but when you go to college, well, everyone on that roster was the number one, number two guy on their high school team. So now, it's not just the other team you got to worry about. You've got a lot of other competition just among your team, and I imagine that's something that you also emphasize with the guys who want to go off and play at college, that, there's a chance that you might not be in the starting lineup your freshman or even your sophomore years if you go to a 4-year.
Absolutely. In fact, it's going on right now on our team. I mean, I will tell you, in all the years I've been a part of high school baseball, my bench players are better than 90% of the kids we're starting on their teams. And I look at my kids and I say it from the bottom of my heart, I apologize I can't get you in today, because the guy ahead of you is doing that good, and the fact that you are hitting exceptionally well. But one thing that we talk about daily is our practices better be the most competitive thing we got going on, because I promise you that my backup center fielder is better than the other team's center fielder. And therefore, if you're going to compete, it's not on game day, it's per practice, because to hold that position is not easy on our team. It's difficult. I mean, I will tell you, you can go watch us hit BP, and it's not the balls leaving the yard that matters. It's the hard contact. It's the fact that they're driving the ball the other way. It's the fact that when we ask them to bunt, we might go 6 or 8 in a row with perfect bunts, and this is what we tell them. You better be working to be perfect. It's impossible to be perfect, but you better work to be perfect. There's certain things that you can do to perfection, and getting ready to hit and getting ready and being prepared is what we tell them, and these kids take it wholeheartedly, and they work to get better at it every day.
Yeah. So, Josh, kind of going on to the chemistry aspect of it, because, again, I mean, you can have all the talent in the world, and obviously Bradshaw Mountain's a talented team, but if you have a lot of talented players and they don't all get along, you're not really going to succeed. So talk about what it's been like, the chemistry of this team, because, when I saw you guys on Thursday, it looked like you guys were having a good time. You were cheering each other on, getting along. So talk about how important it is to have, every kind of like I said in my monologue, you got a lot of different personalities on this team, a lot of unique personalities, but it looks like you all realize, hey, we're striving toward a similar goal.
Yeah, I mean, it's just amazing being part of this team. I've never been part of such tight group before, where just every guy's got each other's back. I could go to any guy on the team right now with any problem, and I know that they'd have my back right now for anything. And just playing baseball is such an individual but team sport, and just knowing that each guy is each other's back and picking each other up, and we can do anything, have a terrible game, no one's going to get on each other. We got no beef on the team, and it's just a great experience and just great team chemistry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Nate, I'm sure you've probably been in your career, you've probably been on you've probably seen both sides of it, where you've probably been on teams where it's like, the getting along aspect maybe isn't there, but you've been on other teams, and probably like this one, where things are really going well and everyone is just kind of getting along. So talk about the difference between those two, what it's like to be on a team where maybe things personality-wise, chemistry-wise, isn't all there compared to what you got this year.
Yeah, when everybody's like really just playing individually and not playing together as a team, I've seen like a lot of people will just not be in the game and not be ready for anything that happens, and then all you see is the morale, and then the team starts playing down, and everybody starts striking out. But unlike that team, my guys here at Bradshaw, they're amazing. We're all together. Even if you mess up, they're there for you, picking you up. And no matter what, if you mess up, the next guy will come up and try to avenge whatever mistake you made, and they will do that, and they'll always pick you up. And that's the thing I love about this team.
Great. And Dalton, well, of course, I mean, you guys got to be on the same page coming up, which I'm sure you will over the next couple weeks. You got some big games coming up. Flagstaff is going to be a big one. Again, the 14th, you're up at Flagstaff. The 17th, you host Flagstaff in a night game, actually, at 7 p.m. So, and I know you got Mingus coming up this week, too, but, talk about, just getting ready for, the big games with Flagstaff, and then, of course, Prescott right after that. And Prescott's, they've been coming on strong here in the second half. So talk about what it's going to take to try to win out the rest of the season here against some pretty tough opponents.
We just got to keep doing what we're doing. Our pitchers just attack the zone, go at them. We trust them, and then hitters do their job and then play good defense like we always do, have good practice, prepare, and just execute and compete.
And, Josh, we kind of talked about, Mojave, how they're down this year. It looks like it's the same thing for Mingus as well. I know Prescott routed them like 12-0 the other day. But for guys like you, for a team like this, when you go up against those, again, not trying to sound mean or anything, but maybe like, weaker teams, I guess, for lack of a better word. What do you have to do in order to make sure that you guys have the same kind of focus for a team like a Mojave or a Mingus as you would a team like Flagstaff or Australia Foothills and not try to play down to their level? What are some of the things you do to make sure you kind of maintain that focus no matter who you're playing?
Yeah, big thing is we obviously are facing an opponent, but just playing pretty much against ourselves, competing with ourselves, knowing that we are a really good team this year, and not playing down other teams' levels, staying up on everything we know and that we have to do, and not letting go a little bit for some not as competitive teams.
Yeah. And Coach, I imagine that's something you drill into your guys because, even though, Bradshaw has a really great record right now, baseball is baseball, and you've seen this too. You could go out there and play a team that's maybe, middle of the pack in the power points, and next thing you know, maybe the mental focus isn't there, and all of a sudden it's like, dang, man, we're losing this team that's ranked number like 35 in the power points. What the heck?
Oh, well, I speak for everyone when I say this. We've all been beat by lesser teams. I mean, so the minute that you think that, that Mingus, for example, maybe is down, they got quality kids. I would agree that they're probably not playing to their potential. They got a quality coach. They got a fantastic talent that backs them up. Make no mistake, they're going to come after us. And they're not going to come after us because we're ranked whatever or who we are. They're going to come after us because it's what they do. Mm-hmm. Prescott's the same way. Flagstaff's the same way. None of these teams are not quality teams. They're all going to have their days when they're a little better than others, just like we are. And like what Josh said is, we're going to attack every team, try and attack them the same. If you could remove the emotions from every game, I think we could probably win out. But you can't. It's not possible. You look at, and obviously we all know the best team doesn't always win. We talk about in the preseason but before the show started, you were talking about like the Caitlin Clark and stuff. And here's the deal. That all takes place, and usually it's the team who loses that has the biggest complaints. However, that all matters because you get that stuff going before the games on how they're overrated or underrated, and then all of a sudden you start buying into it or believing it, and then it changes stuff, and all of a sudden your pitcher gets rattled. But with this team, what they're talking about is, to be honest, we all welcome Josh with open arms because he came in here and he worked hard. If he would have came in here and slouched, he would not be here today. The team would have just pushed him off. But the fact of the matter is you typically work to what you have around you, and these kids are the hardest working kids I've ever coached, and they want to get better. And when you have that kind of, quality in a team, you get that camaraderie. Well, everyone wants to be the guy that's part of that. They don't want to be, excluded from it. So when it comes to these games, that's what he means. We are going to attack them the same every time. We're going to go in the same approach every time, whether it's Lee Williams or Australia Foothills. It doesn't matter. We're going to go after him, and whoever turn it is on the bump, they're going to throw. And with that thought process, knowing that my defense behind me can make plays, they're going to go have quality starts, and we're going to attack them.
All right. Well, folks, unfortunately, we're coming up to the end of the show here. But, hey, I want to give big thanks out to Coach Brian Bundrick and his players, Dalton Irwin and Josh Cazal and Nate Ramirez, for coming in here, joining us on a Saturday morning, and just giving everyone an insight on what is making Bradshaw Mountain such a great team here in 2023. Guys, again, thank you very much for coming in here. Best of luck in your upcoming games this week. 2 against Mingus on the 11th. You guys will be in Cottonwood. The 13th, you're home against Mingus. And then, of course, big one on the 14th up at Flagstaff. And, of course, we'll be following you here on the KYCA Sports Reports and letting all the folks know how things are going as, man, oh, man, just a few weeks away, if you can believe it or not, a few weeks away from the 4A State Conference Tournament. Looking forward to that. Guys, again, thank you very much. Congrats on a really good season, and certainly best of luck the rest of the way.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate having us on.
All right. Well, again, folks, that is going to do it for Tri-City Sports Roundup. So thank you very much for joining us. And again, if you missed any of our sports reports, you can always go to kyca.info, click on the news link, And you will see our latest sports and our latest news there from around the Tri-City area, so you can keep track of that. If you've missed any of our episodes of Tri-City Sports Roundup, you can go to our YouTube page, KYCA Digital. Also, you can go to the archive page on kyca.info as well. And, of course, don't forget about our Facebook page where you can see our latest news stories, other announcements from the community, and of course we have live streams of Tri-City Sports Roundup and the Dr. Hancock Show, which will be coming up at 9:06 here on a Saturday morning. And of course on KYCA Digital, you can check out episodes of my podcast, Rust Rants, where I go off on whatever's honking me off in the world of sports, in the world of pop culture. In fact, you can go to Rust Rants, and one of the episodes I have there this week is my review of John Wick 4, and I'm just going to sum it up. Awesome, insane, adrenaline rush movie. Go see it, and you can check out the full review of it on KYCA Digital on Rust Rants. Well, folks, that is going to do it for this episode of Tri-City Sports Roundup. As always, thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you again soon.